Yo, what's good everyone? So we're back on the CCP test map for another one of these Battleground simulation slash Battleground showcases type of videos. For those new to these series, every defender we face has the same amount of health as a rank 3 7-star version of that defender would have in Battlegrounds. And we're going to be doing a showcase on Jack-O-Lantern today. This guy is insane against mutant champions, especially Onslaught. He's supposed to be a hard Onslaught counter, which he almost is. He's immune to reverse control, so you can easily dex his special too. He regenerates neuroshock damage. He can parry Onslaught. He doesn't crit, so he doesn't get many neuroshocks on him in the first place. But when he parries Onslaught, he still gets the Daunted placed on him, which removes his willpower healing. If they just made him Daunted immune, he would be the perfect Onslaught counter. But since you still get Daunted when you parry Onslaught with Jack-O-Lantern, you don't actually want to parry him. So yeah, a bit of a blunder there in my opinion. He's still a great Onslaught counter though. As you can see, can nuke him in 30 seconds. Same for Mr. Sinister. As I mentioned, this guy doesn't crit. When he would crit, he instead deals a burst of incinerate damage or plasma damage if you're fighting against mutant champions. So of course he's a hard counter to Mr. Sinister. No crits means Mr. Sinister will never regen against him. And he's a pretty hard counter to Weapon X as well, because when he would crit, he instead deals that plasma damage, and Weapon X cannot regenerate that. On top of that, most of his damage is from the poisons and plasmas on the special too, and of course Weapon X cannot regen damage over time. Now we're going to be fighting this Storm X, and you know, this is kind of a interesting fight because Storm X's glancing stops us from ramping up fast. The way Jack-O-Lantern works is every time he would land a critical hit, he loses a charge. When he loses 3 of these charges, he gains a inflamed passive. These inflamed passives increases his damage over time on the special too. And because Storm X can glance a bunch, this means she stops you from critting, which is obviously going to stop Jack from ramping up fast, but he still nukes her. She can't glance the special attacks, so it doesn't really matter. Like, one special 2 still nukes her, even if you don't ramp up your madness too much. Storm X has a small health pool anyway. Speaking of small health pools, we have this Negasonic Teenage Warhead. You know, try not to pronounce their names there. I'm not trying to get cancelled. Also, Jack-O-Lantern can parry Negasonic. Because the way his parry works is he can parry non-contact attacks. So you know, he can even parry Shuri, which I don't actually have Shuri in this video. I should have done a fight against Shuri to show he can parry non-contact attacks in general, but my bad, I forgot about that. But is he a domino counter? This is what a lot of people were asking. This is what a lot of people, including myself, was confused on. And yes, he is actually a pretty solid domino counter, because each stack of madness will increase his ability accuracy. So you are going to take a bit of crit fail damage at the start of the match, but when you use your special one, you gain, I think it's 4 stacks of madness. So when you gain those madness, your ability accuracy is going to increase. So basically, after your first special one, you're not going to take any more critical failure damage. And you see in this fight, I only took 4% damage. This is against a SIG 200 Domino, and that was still a very fast fight, very high health as well. That'll get you like 51, 52k points in Battlegrounds. So yeah, I would say he is a very solid Domino counter. That was my first try against Domino as well. So yeah, he's solid against Domino. He's pretty solid against Bishop. You do want to go for a special one in this fight to ramp up your madness, because Bishop has a lot of energy resistance, and a lot of Jack's damage comes from energy damage. You know, plasma is energy damage. He's not good against Havoc, by the way. I tried him against Havoc, and because he's constantly applying energy damage, Havoc constantly applies those plasmas to you, and you just kind of die. So don't use this guy against Havoc. Even though he doesn't crit, not good for him. But even though we had to go for a special one in that fight first, still nuked it in 41 seconds. Very solid. Now we're going to be fighting some non-mutant champions. Against non-mutant champions, we apply incinerate instead of plasma, which does do less damage. You know, this guy is designed to be a mutant killer. He is great, phenomenal, fantastic against mutant champions, but he's still pretty good against non-mutant champions as well. His damage is still very solid. Utility wise, he doesn't have the most utility. He's incinerate immune, reverse controls immune, and doesn't crit. off the top of my head. You know, he's got access to damage over time, burst damage, so you know he can take champions like Thing, which I do have in this video. But he doesn't have the most utility. But he's got enough utility, and his damage is really high. So I do think he's a very solid champion. I do think he's a good Titan pull. If you got this guy out of the Titan Crystal, you should be happy. Does he need the dupe? He does not need the dupe. The dupe gives him regeneration when he's suffering from Neuroshock damage. Well, it doesn't really matter that much because he's not going to get many Neuroshocks on him anyway, since he doesn't crit. And you know, this lets him heal from crit fail as well. But you're not going to be taking any crit fail damage after your first special one. So no, he does not need the dupe. He is perfectly fine, unduped. Of course, because most of our damage is burst damage, slash damage over time, incinerates, poisons, yada yada. He's great against Thing. All that stuff is going to bypass the protection. The best way I found to do this fight is by just using 2 special 2s, but this is a rank 3 thing. Keep in mind, most people do not have a rank 3 max sig thing. Most people run the 6-star thing. So you know, against the 6-star thing, you basically only need 1 special 2. Against the 7-star rank 3 though, yeah, it's going to take 2 special 2s to finish him off. Moving on to the last fight of this video, we got this Absman. Now this Absman is actually a 7-star rank 3 Absman. Of course, this doesn't actually exist in the game. But when a 7-star Absman does come out, just know Jack-O-Lantern will nuke him. In general, Jack-O-Lantern is very good against Mystic champions. I don't like showing Mystic champions in these showcases because of course there's no Mystic dispersion here, which is the one difference to an actual Battlegrounds fight. It would be really cool if they could implement masteries into these fights, even if it's just the Mystic fights, you know, just give them Mystic dispersion. But you know, I'm happy with the test map as it is. I don't want to be asking for too much, but yeah, some Mystic dispersion would be nice. But you know, even if he had Mystic dispersion, the fight would go pretty much the exact same. He would get nuked in 44 seconds with or without it. Now this week is going to be a very special week. I'm going to be uploading a showcase every single day. We're on the road to 7k subscribers. I'd love to hit that before the end of the year. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that button. I've got Shocker, Prowler, Crossbones, Weapon X, Nova, Unduped, Rank 3, Hood. All Rank 3s showcases coming. So yeah, make sure you subscribe for all of that. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And I will see you all in the next one.